Hey guys, so I wanted to make a video, because I said I would, because there's so much stuff that I skip in my notes that I want to tell you about, but the reviews are really, really long, and I kind of just want to give you the story of what's going on, so I end up skipping a lot of stuff that either doesn't advance the plot, such as it is, or that's just completely repetitive, like just all of the abusive language and behavior and pretty much almost every word of the book, really. And then just some of the stupid lines that E.L. James writes that just are idiotic, because I just can't fit them in, but they're in my notes, and I think you should hear about them. But the first thing that I have is a question for you guys. I have a question for the marrieds. She mentions that she didn't promise to obey in her vows, and she makes a really big deal out of it. It's so stupid. Is that still a thing? That's what my question is. My question, marrieds, is that even, because I was under the impression that that's really just not a standard part of anybody's wedding vows anymore, and I'm not married, so I don't know, and I tend to stay as far away from weddings as I can get. I also don't know why Christian and Anna talk like this. They constantly call each other Mr. and Mrs. Gray. I'm just going to read part of this one page, but this is pretty much how they talk to each other 100% of the time. Out of the Mediterranean sun, Mrs. Gray. Thank you for your altruism, Mr. Gray. My pleasure, Mrs. Gray, and I'm not being altruistic at all. If you burn, I won't be able to touch you. I was hoping you'd do more than rub me down with sunscreen. Mrs. Gray, or Mr. Gray, you Mrs. Gray. Mr. Gray, Mrs. Gray, or Mr. Gray, and Mrs. Gray. Every sentence that they say to each other has Mr. or Mrs. Gray in it. But stop it. Stop talking like that. Nobody talks like that. If they do talk like that, they should be punched. She keeps saying that Christian smells like Christian. He smells good of Christian and the sea. Like, really? He smells like himself? That's amazing. I wonder, She hasn't said body wash yet. Apparently he just smells like Christian now. Christian is a fragrance. So she's complaining again about how rich she is because it's such a burden. She says, I've done nothing to earn this money. I just married a rich man. Here's the thing, though, Anna. You're gonna earn every penny of that money because this guy's a fucking douchebag. That's just fucking stupid. Oh, here's a great line from E.L. James. I specifically picked this line out for H-Town because when I read it to her, she was irate. Oh my. The look he gives me could be solely responsible for global warming. Because that's a punchline. Another thing she says when she's all handcuffed. This feels weird, being trussed up and helpless on a boat. Like there's some, like the location is what makes it weird. Yeah, so now she's covered in hickeys, because Christian's marking his territory, and she does that too. She keeps saying stuff, you know, every time she describes him, she tacks onto the end of it, and he's mine, like it's some miracle or something. I don't know why they don't just pee on each other. Really? Like, it seems like that'd be easier. I don't know. Plus, like, that'll keep all these horrible people away that are just trying to tear them apart, which isn't actually happening. They just think it is. You know, just like, oh, hey, pretty good. Oh, you know what? You smell like piss. Have a nice day. Like, problem solved. They should just pee on each other. That's my advice. So, yeah, she's mad about that. So she says, I can behave like an adolescent too, which is great, because when have you ever stopped, Anna? When have you ever not behaved like an adolescent? So she throws a hairbrush at him. So, well done. This is just all over the place, and that's why it doesn't get into the reviews, because Just be like, and then he was abusive, and then he was abusive, and then he was abusive, and... But there's this flashback to a couple weeks earlier, where Anna has decided that she's going to shave off all her pubes because she thinks Christian would like it. So she does that, except, like, she does a really terrible... Like, I don't know how you fuck that up, but she just... I don't know what she was doing, but somehow, like, she did such a horrible job with this that he laughed at her and, like, made her feel bad, and then he has to, like, go and, like, fix whatever this damage is that she's done to her snatch, because it's just a mess, I guess. I don't know what happened there. That's a thing with me. I really, really love watching men shave. That's a huge turn on for me. You probably didn't need to know that, did you? Too much information. I'll move on. She's just like, oh, tit for tat. Like, I'm gonna shave your face. And he's like, you're gonna what? Which I can't really blame him, because look what you did to your crotch. I wrote in my notes, and I was going back through my notes, and I found a line that just says, I hate you. And I could not remember why I wrote that. With no context at all, I wrote that. But here's the reason why. And it's not the allure of his fine, fine face and his body that has me spellbound. It's what's behind the perfection that draws me, that calls to me. His fragile, damaged soul. I fucking hate you. Oh, now her inner goddess now is reading Jackie Collins, apparently. My inner goddess looks up startled from her Jackie Collins, so I guess we're gonna just find out everything that's in her inner goddess's library. I hate this book, you guys. So, I did read chapter 4. There's some interesting stuff coming up, and by interesting I mean not at all interesting. But yeah, so I should have a review up for you guys this weekend, the next one. And that's it. Those are my spare notes from chapters 1, 2, and 3.